Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome to today's video. We're going to do a little arrow build in this video. We're going to go over this Black Eagle Renegade Grizzly Stik hybrid arrow that I'm building. I'm not going to go over all the full details. I'm just going to try and keep this short, talk about the basics of the arrow build, why I'm doing it, and maybe we'll talk about some components. So stay tuned. Alright, so let's start with the arrow. This is a Black Eagle Renegade. It's a 300 spine arrow and it's in 5/1000 straightness. It's the only straightness they offer for this arrow, and being that it is a low cost arrow in relation to a lot of others and other arrows that I typically build. This arrow comes in at less than $8.50 per shaft, which is pretty economical, and it's kind of the reason I wanted to build this arrow. I have this cut down to 27.5 inches, and at 27.5 inches, putting it on the spinner, I really don't notice much of any wobble at all. You know, that straightness tolerance is over a full length shaft, so when you do cut the arrows down, you generally can get away with a really straight arrow at that point. So people with shorter draws that are shooting shorter arrows can get away with shooting a shaft with a higher straightness tolerance. So that makes this arrow low cost and budget friendly. It's 10 grains per inch arrow, so it's getting into the weight range that I really like to shoot. So what I'm pairing these arrows up with is the Grizzly Stik Momentum TDT inserts. So it's an insert outsert for a 204 diameter shaft, which these Black Eagle Renegades are, and this is for their 400 spine arrow. So to figure this all out, I just looked up the outside diameter of the 300 spine Renegade shaft and matched it up with the inside diameter of this insert, which you can get from picking up the charts on the Momentum TDT arrows by Grizzly Stik. So they're both 275 outside diameter for this shaft and the 400 spine on the Grizzly Stik arrow. So they match up perfectly. They slide right on. This insert outsert system is basically an aluminum post with a brass footing or collar on it. It's bonded together, so it's just all one piece, and I like that for simplicity. You've seen some of my other videos that are more in depth where I use the Ethics archery system, which is a two-piece basically post and collar. I like this just because it's new, it's different to me. I wanted to try it out. This is about 70 grains, so it's right around what I've used for similar arrows in this 300 spine build. One of the other arrows I've talked about on my channel before is the Deep Impact, which I've used a 65 grain insert outsert system from Ethics. So this is, you know, a similar system. It's basically a post and a collar. This is just bonded versus the Ethics system, which is two separate parts. And the reason I wanted to try this is because I have a lower cost arrow, and for a 6-pack of these was only $25 for these insert outserts. So all in all, it's not that much money to put together for a shaft or for an arrow that I think will be really durable. And then we can talk about, you know, the inherent problems with what come with this this Black Eagle Renegade. So this is the factory insert outsert that Black Eagle provides with this arrow, and I've talked about this before, but the problem with this is that it just slides in and it has no support for the carbon on the outside. So what happens on extremely hard impacts is this will either blow back and mushroom into the arrow, or it will tear out the sidewall of the arrow and just destroy the arrow. So that's the inherent problem with these. I like to avoid them pretty much at all costs because I've broke too many arrows, even just shooting into a foam deer target, missing low and hitting like the leg where it's plastic or something really hard inside. I've had arrows just break from that alone. So that's why I opted to try something different and go with the Grizzly Stik. And yeah, I'll get these on here. I pretty much got them cut, squared. I'll just clean the shafts, get the inserts in. I will be using hot melt on this because I don't know if I'll ever be reusing these, and it's a newer arrow build for me, so I'm not positive on how everything will turn out, but I want to use hot melt just in case I need to reuse them or have other plans in the future for them. Alright, so I'll talk about the process a little bit right here. Just warming up this insert outsert over this candle. I'm using actually bone-in cool melt. I prefer it a little bit over the original hot melt. Basically just get this all nice and warmed up. I don't want to go crazy with the heat. I got a decent amount on there since it needs to go on the inside and the outside of this arrow. I quickly transfer over. Make sure I force it in and then quickly cool it off. And if I need to, what I'll do is I'll spin it, see how straight it's spinning, and then I'll warm it up and twist it around to get it to spin as straight as possible. So that's spinning damn near perfect. So, you know, I've talked before about hot melt and, you know, not being really a huge fan of it. I've had several inserts pull out in targets just for not adhering well. So, you know, I've not been a fan of it for that reason. And same thing goes with getting them to spin right. If you're having trouble with one, it's kind of a pain to reheat, twist, spin. Not a big deal, but in my eyes, I just kind of prefer to use epoxy in most situations. But for this, we're trying it out. So far, so good. This is spinning well, so we'll get the rest taken care of, and then we'll start looking at weights of the final setup, and then fletching I'll be running with it. All right, I'm going to run through this process one more time. Work that insert, get it nice and warm. I got it straight in the water really quick. You know, the issue, it's Black Eagle arrows, they don't recommend using hot melt, although I've seen a number of people do it with no issues at all. So I guess if you don't want to avoid the warranty on your arrows, then don't use hot melt, but I'm going for it anyways. Alright, so I'm going to try and get this picked up on camera. But this one's got a slight wobble to it. Very, very minor. So what I'm going to do is just bring a little more heat back into this. Give it a twist and see how she spins. You want to be careful again with doing this. You do not want to overheat anything here. There we go. Just takes a little bit of twisting to get it to the right spot. Then you get back in, get it cooled off. Alright, so all 6 arrows now have the inserts in them. And it went pretty smooth and pretty quick, courtesy of the hot melt. I guess that's one benefit to it, or one of 2 benefits, being that it's very quick to do, and the second benefit being that if need be, arrow breaks or whatnot, you can remove your expensive insert outserts that you pay for. That's actually a pretty big benefit. So got them all spinning nice and true. They all look like they came out really good. So we'll move on. Talk quickly about the fletching that I'll be using, and yeah, that'll be it. Hope you guys are enjoying so far. If you have any questions or comments about what we've done so far with the insert, outsert, or the arrow itself, drop those down in the comments below. Let's move on to the fletchings. Alright everybody, so I got the fletching done on the first arrow, so I figured I'd just go over exactly what it is. It's a VaneTech Super Spine 3.0, so it's a 3-inch long vane. And just to recap the arrow build itself, it's the Momentum TDT insert from Grizzly Stik, a 300 spine Black Eagle Renegade, and again the VaneTech Super Spine vanes. So it's a 27.5-inch carbon-to-carbon arrow, 70 grains in the insert. 150 grain points are generally what I run since I've purchased broadheads in that. Weight, I try to stick around there to make use of all of those. So I was really aiming for that lower 500 grain total arrow weight for this build. I have arrows that are heavier that are on the channel as well, in more in-depth arrow build videos, which you can watch. For this, I wanted to be closer to 500 and try and just compare and see how I like going back down lower in weight, and also just to build a new arrow, something lower cost, something a little different, maybe out of the box compared to what other people are doing. So if I put this here on the scale, we are looking at right around 530 grains for this arrow. So low to mid 500s. I've shot arrows just slightly over that in the past, and I really like the trajectory. So I've talked before about heavy arrows. This is probably a mid-range, mid-heavy range for me. I have other arrows in the 650 grain range that I will be hunting with as well. So just to recap, I think this is a unique build. It's a high quality insert outsert in a low dollar shaft. So I want to know your guys' thoughts on this arrow build. Your thoughts in general. Is it worth paying extra dollars for insert outsert systems like this, especially when you're pairing it with like a low cost shaft? I want to know what you guys are thinking on that. I think this will turn out to be a pretty durable arrow. And if it breaks, it's easy to replace, it's cheap to replace. You can buy these individually from Lancaster Archery. So let me know what you guys are thinking. Comment below. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. It's definitely going to help out the channel. And yeah, thanks guys.